It's the Final Word Daily, brought to you by New Brew, the Think Drink, the thinking man's drink. I'm Cameron Ponsonby. I'm joined by Daniel Norcross, and we're going to preview the third test of the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy. It's 1-1. The series is thrilling, and Jofra Archer is back, Daniel. That's the news. That's confirmed by Ben Stokes. He's announced England's team, and after 4 long years, we are finally going to see Jofra Archer back in England whites.
Well, this is amazing news, isn't it? I wonder if he's going to bowl 42 overs in the first or second innings on a flat deck. Time will tell. I imagine not. There's a lot of concern about his selection from people outside of the camp, and I totally understand that because we all look on and go, yeah, he bowled 18 overs in one county championship match, and then they took him away from the Kookaburra rounds, which did baffle me slightly, or rather the second Kookaburra round, when the entire experiment was designed to help England bowlers get used to bowling with a Kookaburra ball when they go to Australia. And instead, he bowled, quite a bit of pace on the outfield at Edgbaston in lunch and tea breaks. He also bowled a fair bit of left-arm spin.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think that the layman and the interested observer is concerned that he's not going to be match fit. Everybody in the TMS studio
Daniel,
thinks that.
Where's your revelry? Where's your joy here?
My revelry, my joy. Well, it's tempered by terror because the problem with Jofra Archer is that he's such a diamond. He's such a magnificent addition to cricket on the basis of what he did in the Ashes. I mean, actually, subsequently to that in his Test career, he's averaged sort of 32, hasn't he? But because the promise of Jofra is this wonderful thing, all you're really feeling is, oh, God, I hope he doesn't break down. Oh, no, wouldn't it be awful if he suddenly clutches his elbow or back or develops a knee injury? So there's trepidation and there's concern, and I think that's from neutrals and England fans alike, because watching him play Test cricket is kind of the goal, and it's felt like the goal for the last 4 years. And so I struggle to get enthusiastic until I see him bowl. And then if he's wanging it down at 90 miles an hour, everything will be great. If he wangs it down at 84 miles an hour, the first ball, everyone will go, oh, no, it's not the same Jofra. And look, he's one of those players who's named after his first name. He's Jofra. He's not Archer. That's the kind of status that he has. So, yes, of course, there's excitement. There's anticipation. There's all those things. But there's trepidation and there's nervousness. And I think it also does tell you something about where England are at the moment, that they felt that they had to get him to play now rather than, say, the 4th test or the 5th test and allow him to have more overs under his belt. I think there's a little bit of that as well.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I think the pressure ramps up. He becomes a more high-profile, high-risk selection the later you go in the series. It's more risky to stick him in at potentially 2-all or 2-1 down in the 4th test than it is in the 3rd test. They always had this series kind of earmarked as the one where Jofra comes back because they want him building back towards the Ashes. And I think what's important to note with the Jofra selection. So just for those who aren't aware, he's the only change in the team. He's coming for Josh Tongue. Ben Stokes has basically gone like Chris Wokes and Bryden Castle have pulled up really, really well. They've both gone, fit and firing, fresh, let's go. So Gus Atkinson does not come into the team when it was kind of, I just assumed it was a given he was going to play, and Ben Jones actually kind of like paid more attention to Brendan McCullum's words. He went, no, it doesn't sound like he is going to play. So McCullum has said, Stokes been like, Atkinson, he's on ice. He'll come back in at a later date. But Jofra Archer has actually played a lot of cricket for England in the last 2 or so years. It's been with a white ball. He's played on like 30 matches in the last 18 months for England. It's just that it's probably more of a dire indication of the status and memorability. I don't think that's a word.
If you like. Yeah.
Of I like making up words. It's fun. Of bilateral white ball series. I forgot that I'd seen him bloody bowl in the West Indies last year. He played every game pretty much. Poof, gone. Don't remember it. But because where's legends made is that World Cup final, is that Test series back at Lords where he hit Smith and hit Labuschagne. Stokes would have listened to your answer, Daniel, and been like, these bloody Englishmen, why are we so negative in this country? And he basically said words to that effect. He said, why are we fearing the worst? Why can't we be hoping for the best? We've got Jofra Archer back. He's a wonderful, one-of-a-kind cricketer. We've all been waiting to see him back in the team. But do you
Yes,
keep
well,
talking
no,
about Jofra?
he's absolutely right, and that is the right way to look at it. It is the positive way to look at it. Of course, it is. But I go back to my original sentiment, which is that he's so precious. He's
And
so
terror.
And this isn't really about being English. I think that there are cricket fans around the world who want to see Jofra Archer, and they probably do blame Joe Root's England for having caused all these problems in the first place at Mount Maunganui. Whether that's true or not, by the way, there's a whole lot of myth that surrounds Jofra, not least that he is so effective, and that he is so wonderful, and how he got his injuries. And that's part of what is his mystique. So, yes, nervous anticipation. It'll be great fun to watch. I'm kind of staggered, though, that there is only the one change. I'm staggered that Chris Woakes and Bryden Cars have pulled up as well as they have. I mean, we spent quite a bit of time at the back end of the last test with the cameras focusing on Bryden Cars' toe, on Chris Woakes actually. I mean, I'm not surprised that Chris Woakes is playing because his workload was noticeably managed, wasn't it, in the second innings?
And he's got such a good record at Lords as well, etc., etc.
Absolutely. Very good record at Lords. And I guess that looks like a good balance to the attack, doesn't it? With Cars, Archer, a fit Stokes and a fit Woakes. That's a very nice-looking attack, a very balanced attack as well.
England were in a bit of a catch-22 situation where had they made the changes, had Atkinson come in for Woakes, for example, you're then looking at a bowling attack where three of your four-seamers are injury-riddled disasters waiting to happen in Stokes, Atkinson and Archer. And you think, not brilliant. Right, well, India don't announce their team till the toss because they're kind of normal in the kind of wider context of the world. There was a lot of chatter. I felt bad being a party pooper on this. A friend of mine, India fan, messaged me yesterday. Was like, "Hey, England not announced their team 2 days out, have they? Like, what's changed? What's changed, Stokesy boy?" And I was like, it was just a 5-day test match and then a quick turnaround, which is just the fact.
Well, they were all at Wimbledon, weren't they? So they had to see if they actually managed to pull up okay from sitting in the royal box all that time. Because it takes it out of you watching a very, very predictable sport as people go plop, 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 plop. They might have just been overwhelmed by innovation and the thorough tedium of being surrounded by people who are more concerned about their image and their wretched sunglasses and what it is that they're wearing than the actual sport that they're playing.
I didn't know Wimbledon was and tennis was on your hit list. I knew golf was, but
Yeah. I mean, I actually think tennis is an exceptionally good game. I'm not sure that grass court tennis is my preferred version of it, but the fact that so much of it is spent with the cameras gazing at the royal box to see what beneficence has been handed down to the players, it absolutely cheeses me off. And the objectification of people and their bodies and how they look, I also find it extremely irritating. But that's my rant about tennis, and I'm going to park it because this is a cricket show, and it's not as bad as golf.
You're such a moral crusader. I love it. My biggest bugbear about tennis is I think it's the worst sport to watch at an amateur level because I think it's progression. This is how the world works. You start at level 1 and you improve and you get better and better and you can make things difficult and more difficult. You overload yourself. You challenge yourself. Tennis have decided to inverse this, and the hardest shot in the sport is the first one, and the second hardest is the second one. So no one can ever play a rally, and you just watch these morons tap it back to each other and serve the ball into the net. Not a fan. That's why I grew up at a place where there was tennis courts, squash courts, played squash, I'd muck up in squash, ball was there. I was like, oh, it's just here. Muck up in tennis, it's on court 5. Rubbish. Hey, the final word tennis daily, coming to you in the middle of Wimbledon. You are Shubman Gill. What changes, if any, would you like to make to your cricket team ahead of tomorrow? I'm going to give you a clue for one of them.
Yes.
You can pick Jasprit Bumrah. But does Bumrah being selected prompt you to make any other changes? I've got a couple in mind if you wish to hear.
Okay, well, there's a couple of interesting things here, aren't there? I mean, the most obvious change would be Prasid Krishna out and Bumrah in, leaving you with a pace attack of Siraj, Bumrah and Akashdeep, who looks like he's absolutely hit his straps, which is a fearsome prospect.
Oh, yeah.
But, and I'm only being moderately flippant here, Mohamed Siraj has got a much worse record when he bowls with Jasprit Bumrah than he has when he doesn't bowl with Jasprit Bumrah. It's a really curious one. And he's also played 2 test matches, and they might want to manage his workload. The difference is he looks more match fit, doesn't he? He looks physically more capable. He's played a lot of cricket, albeit a lot of it is IPL. And if we're counting the cricket that Jofra Archer has played, then I think the intensity of a 2-month IPL campaign has got to be taken into account. Other changes, I mean, did the Nitish Kumar Reddy experiment work? Well, it didn't, because he barely bowled, and out of the 1,014 runs that India scored, he got precisely 2 of them, which was sort of, I mean, that can't feel good. It's a bit like Dennis Compton getting 1 run and Eddie Painter getting 0 out of 903 for 7 in 1938. So, but these things happen. It doesn't make the selection wrong just because he had a not particularly good game. They might decide they want to go back to Shardul Thakur. I'd be staggered if they did that, because I think they felt that he was a bit of a liability in the field as well. And they think in Nitish Kumar Reddy, he's a more solid batting option. I think the 2 spinners, do spinners really prosper at Lords? Not enormously. It's due to be very hot, but if they leave a lot of grass on, then the likelihood, and it sounds like they will leave grass on, because England have said, please make these pitches spicier. So it starts with leaving grass on. The problem is that the more grass you leave on, the easier the pitch gets as it goes through, because it doesn't deteriorate quite as much. And if that were the case, then do you need 2 spinners? To what end? To what end? You've still got to find another all-rounder, haven't you? Because you've got to find maybe a 4th seamer. That might be the thing to do, especially if you're being sent deep into a 4th innings or even a 3rd innings, as we saw in the World Test Championship. The pitch eased and eased and eased, and possibly they would rather have a 4th seamer than a 2nd spinner. But Jadeja's a sort of cheat code in a way normally, and this hasn't really been his series, in fairness, but his ability to hold up an end does mean that he's like something a little bit different from a standard spinner. And Washington does give you a really handy option with the bat down the order, and he's so determined, and he's a gun fielder. So what's your other change if it's not just Bumrah for Prasidh Krishna?
I think you can very sensibly, it feels just a bit slapdash if they do this, but if you don't need Nitish Kumar Reddy, you can just swap back in Sai Sudarshan and bolster your batting. You can improve your batting to that end, and then you basically keep the same bowling attack. You have the 3 seamers and 2 spinners, and then that's a change. I've been trying to solve the Rubik's Cube of can you pick. You can't pick Kuldeep Yadav and then not have the problem of the really long tail at 8, because you only have Bumrah, Siraj, Akashdeep. Those are your 3 seamers. So you have to have someone who can bat a little bit more at 8. It is remarkable how quickly storylines and campaign lines, more to the point, change. In that a week ago, it was India have to pick Kuldeep Yadav. Yes. You have to find a way to take 20 wickets. Then this lad Akashdeep's come in, which none of us in England had really seen before, apart from a few of us who were over in India last year. But you kind of forget, and you go, oh, he's really good. That's how you take 20 wickets. Just give the ball to him. It's fine. And then they're going to replace Prasidh Krishna with a lad who's even better. So India, look, I said this yesterday on the weekly show, but I feel that this test match is where silly season begins.
Ooh.
I think this is the game. I think we're having a 3.5-dayer. I think people are nicking off. I think where runs were previously scored by India's top order, I think people are nicking it. Where England have kind of dug themselves out of a hole with stupendous innings, I don't think that's happening. I think there's an element of fatigue, weariness, pressure, drama following a quick turnaround from the Edgbaston Test, where there's going to be some lazy shots, there's going to be some fast-moving cricket. I just feel it in my bones.
Well, do you know, to talk to that point, I like your thinking, because it does often happen within a 5-test series that there is a test match. When you think about the crazy Headingley test match in 2019, and it sort of began to be crazy with England being bundled out for next to nothing, and then actually bowling out Australia on a pitch that hadn't really degraded for not very much in their second innings, and then went in the mad sense that it became one of the craziest Test matches of all time. But in terms of there being some short innings, well, Lords has got previous for this, and not just this season. So, yeah, I can see that happening. And I take your points about fatigue, and I do see a couple of refreshed bowling lineups up to a point, with Archer coming in for England and Bumrah coming in for India. I just think this is going to be one of those ones where we are not really going to have an idea, potentially until the end of the second day, because what we need to understand is this Lord's pitch going to do that thing that it has done mostly? I spoke to Stephen Finn about this. When asked, the management said, we want pitches with pace and bounce. He said, well, good luck getting that at Lord's, pal. It hasn't had pace and bounce for about, 10 years. So the grass is seen as a way of making things happen.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But
Maybe they should just roll Sam Curran into it.
Yes, I mean, that would be one way of doing it.
I think that's quite close to being a good joke, but I don't think it is.
It's yes. I mean, it's a great effort. It's a good attempt, and I applaud it. And I don't ever want you to stop reaching for the stars in that respect, Cameron. But no, genuinely, grass is a solution to it doing not a lot on the first couple of days, but it's not really a solution to it not doing a lot on the last couple of days. So, and it can get slower and lower. I mean, we saw the stark facts in the World Test Championship of how low the ball was going, and it was an upward curve from day one, where it barely kept low at all, to it's really keeping very low on day 4. And Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood were not able to get anywhere near getting rid of Bavuma and Markram for really quite a long stretch of time. So I don't know, and I think the most intriguing thing will be at the toss. Stokes, I'm pretty sure, will stick to his guns, even if it's 31 degrees. If he sees grass on the pitch, he's bowling first. End of. And people at the toss will say, this is insane. You look up, not down at Lords. But basically, if you look up at Lords through the entirety of this Test match, you won't see a cloud in the sky, according to the forecast. And you've got to bowl at some point. So his reasoning will be, I might as well bowl while there's a bit of moisture and there's live grass on the pitch. The interesting thing will be to see if India do the same thing. And in having Bumrah and Akashdeep, they've sort of got two bowlers who want to bowl from the pavilion end, I think.
If I was India, I'd be wanting to get at England ASAP.
I think that's right.
Get into them. Right, Daniel, this episode is brought to you by Newbury. We're going to have a quick chat about the lads, the fellas, the guys, the gals, and then we're going to go to the Final Word Hall of Fame. This episode is brought to you by Newbrew. Newbrew is the Think Drink. It's a supplement to support brain health and performance and contains a range of ingredients called Nootropics. I've had a sprint earlier today, the blue one. I don't know if you can tell I'm alive.
Yeah, you did seem alive, actually. You really did seem alive.
I'm up and about. I'm just excited at the moment. We're in a good spot at the moment. Wake up, what I've got to do today? I'm going to do some work on a very exciting England versus India Test series. Wonderful. Loving it. All good stuff. But if you want to be as happy and as joyous as me, you can get involved in the Blue Sprint Nootropics, New Brew, or you can get the Pro, which is the black one. And it's great if you're active and always on the go. It gives you kind of a boost without the crash. And I feel like I'm boosted without crashing.
I can't tell you how much I actually need that. And I think I've got a packet here. I might dig one out, because yesterday I played cricket for the first time in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it was the first bit of actual exercise I'd done for a year. I mean, I have walked around a flat common and around a pond every now and then at a steady pace. But yesterday I ran a couple of threes. I ran a few quick singles. I made a dashing 30 and 24 balls.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Tell me about it. Very large outfield at Dulwich College. And I was absolutely a broken man at the end. So I'm heading straight in there. I'm going to get myself some sprint, and I'm going to revive myself.
Lovely. Well, we'll be right back after this break. Hey, we're back. My favourite moment of all these shows with Daniel Norcross. Hall of Fame. I'm gonna take the reins on this one, Daniel, because I've been going through the transcripts of the two press conferences. Rishabh Pant spoke to the press, as did Ben Stokes. And one funny topic just on, you mentioned that whether England will double down on the toss decision. He obviously has to say, he's like, no, we'll take whatever comes, and we can't just be wedded to one strategy. He did, however, say He did, however, say he was asked basically how long can you mull over it, how long can you think about these things, because it will drive you insane. He's like, yeah, you're right. Like you don't want to overthink it because otherwise you'll spend 14 hours, the 14 hours before the toss, going, maybe we should bat, maybe we should bat. So he said, tend to like have a little chat the day before, reassess in the morning. Then you walk. He says, and I'll put the blazer on. I walk out the front door and I go, look up, look down. He said, I mainly look up and then I'll make a call. But this might not be the right decision at Lords to mainly look up.
No. Well,
That's
like I said earlier, you're going to look up and it's going to be exactly the same the whole time. So,
but
unless he intends to bat for 5 days, at some point his bowlers are going to have to bowl.
And just to round us off, there was some really good cricket tragic stuff in the discussion of the rings that balls are passed.
Oh
through
yes.
When they go out of shape, and so
because let's be clear about this. I think this is the worst batch of balls for continually asking about a replacement ball since the first fastball summer of 22. When we all got very vexed by this about the lack of hand stitching. I believe at one point weren't we told that the grass that the cows had been fed, from which the leather was made the year before, was not sufficiently nutritious and it was dry or something. So the leather wasn't as good.
Oh,
I mean,
God,
there was all sorts of. Oh, it was amazing. There was just all sorts of magnificent nonsense being spoken about balls. And indeed, they did. I mean, I did one match where the ball was asked to be changed after the very first ball. It had been crunched through the covers before, and then you could see on the camera that it was flat on the side where the ball had been hit, and still curved on the other side. And this has been. It got a little bit better in 23, a little bit better in 24. This year, I don't think we're quite back to 22, but we're in that same zone, aren't we? Where it literally. Getting a wicket after over 30 involves spookery, skullduggery. I mean, you just can't do it. And also, the number of times that they ask for it to be changed, it becomes a rather tedious dance of death, doesn't it? It's sort of 5 times in. So tell me about these. Are they calipers? What do we call them? The rings? The umpire's rings.
We call them the rings. Stokes made the point. And when I first read it, I went, God, that is a really good point. I've since gone, I don't think it's that good a point. Where basically he's gone, look, like, there's been an issue. Both him and Pant spoke about it in terms of, like, it's really irritating, to be honest. It's just quite annoying. But we don't want to be asking. It's just, like, they are out of shape. You can see them. So Dukes obviously make the ball, but Dukes do not make the rings that decide whether the Dukes ball has gone sufficiently out of shape.
Okay.
So,
are you suggesting if Dukes did, they might make the rings slightly oblong?
I don't know. But basically, Stokes' point is that, like, so we've since found out basically the ICC provides standardised rings, basically. But Stokes' question is like basically saying, should there be a Dukes ring and a Kookaburra ring because the balls are different? So he's basically saying, like, God, the balls are out of shape. There's a reason both us and India keep going to the umpire, but the balls are bloody going through. So although this Dukes ball is out of shape, it is passing through the ICC standardised ring.
Oh, so is it possible that the Dukes ball hasn't got quite the same circumference?
Well,
so it could be slightly smaller, still go out of shape, and still pass through the ring.
Famously, they're not machine made. They're all ever so different. They're unique and special, like you are, Daniel, like we all are.
Thank you.
And this has been the Final Word Daily, brought to you by New Brew. We'll be back tomorrow. It's day one tomorrow. You know what? It'll be a combination of 2 of the faces you recognise on the Daily tomorrow. And until that point, I hope you enjoy. We'll see you and speak to you then. Goodbye. What?
And don't forget, you can get a hold of your New Brew at...
Oh, great save, Daniel Norcross at newbrew.com/final word, where you'll get 15% off at checkout. Goodness me, Daniel, aren't you a professional? Right, be gone with you. Be gone with all of you. See you tomorrow.
Bye.